Hello. Welcome, folks, to the latest episode of Sorcery Shenanigans, episode 22. I had to look that up to see exactly how many
Oh,
episodes we're at.
really?
Episode 22.
22.
Yes. Hello, I am your Dungeon Master, Wayne, and here are your players, Kim and Jill. They're on this side of the screen for me. There they are. Yes, here we are, another episode of Sorcery Shenanigans, continuing on the adventure. Now, something a little bit different. Apparently, I have to throw to Kim for the recap for this episode. So, Kim, go for it.
In the words of Kate from Spiritualized, ladies and gentlemen, we are floating in space.
Pretty much sums it up. Because where we last left our adventurers, they had just escaped from a gargantuan monster and its babies in space. And the silver spear was left adrift following a close encounter of the scary kind. They were scavenging for materials in a ship graveyard. They found the crew split, and they found a multitude of different materials that were required for the repair. And they also found a very large energy cannon, which they have used and rode like something out of Doctor Strangelove through space to land almost safely on the Silver Spear. So Zara getting in there by the skin of her teeth.
There was some serious squeaky bum time.
Yes, big time. So now, after jumping straight into hyperspace, they're now floating powerless in the void, with a ship repair ahead of them, as well as options of where to go next. You are aware that your former one of the spelljamming pilots, Elevar, whose brother Karad had been murdered by Karabash. He is very eager to bring him back to their home planet or home sphere of Vracona Prime in order to follow their traditional burial rituals. On that, he hasn't really expanded, but you have agreed at some point to bring him back. But right now, you are floating in space, and the ship needs to be repaired. So, you're all lying. We'll start off straight off where we left off. You're all laying on the deck after the ship has kind of jumped out of hyperspace. But then the arcane energy of the ship started to fail, and it just started to drift and float through the void. You've no real idea where you are. You've literally just landed, or just come out of hyperspace, and you're all kind of sprawled across the deck. That energy cannon, the crew are trying to stabilize it and kind of strap it down. What are you doing in this moment as people are rushing about? The shouts from the crew. Merrick, the ship's cleric, is kind of also sprawled, starfish style, kind of sliding across the deck, his eyes wide as he stares up into the void, kind of a whimper echoing from his voice.
I want to talk to Elevar and see, can we decipher where are we in the void, and are we at least safe for the moment while we do some repairs? Like, is there any spears near to us, anything hostile,
nightmare beasts?
Yeah, those lads. Anything apparent at the moment, so that, can we catch a breather to do some of the essential repairs? Because I think the gang had said, once we had gathered the materials, they obviously need the time to be able to work on those repairs.
Elevar is up on the deck, and with all this commotion, everyone is trying to help as best they can. And he sees you as you do you beckon over, or do you head towards him, or what?
I'm going to head towards him and ask him, Elevar, do you know where we are? Can we figure that out?
He kind of frowns and kind of looks around him a sec, checking, just manually looking and seeing. I'm not 100%. And he kind of starts looking and kind of pointing and checking star formations and clusters and stuff like that. He's like, I do believe slightly off the beaten path here. I'll need to consult the charts, but I don't think we're in any immediate danger. This is one of the lesser traveled trade routes.
I guess what I'm asking is, are we safe enough for the crew to start repairs before we make any other big...
I believe so. We're going to have to do some repairs even to get the ship moving. So I believe we are in relative safety for now, following whatever happened back when he was kind of just shaking his head a bit and gesturing off in the distance. It's rare to see those creatures out in the open as such, and in such numbers. Uh, and he's kind of like shaking his head a bit as crew kind of bustles around you, and you hear shouts from the deck, and that cannon that you've brought on board is not installed, but it's getting strapped into one of the empty cannon ports. But yeah, the crew are kind of, any crew that were on the deck picking themselves up are starting to move about. This, you see the supplies that have been steadily moving down below, so that you can see now as you kind of look around the ship, and Gray, you see it as well. The other repair crews that went out to salvage brought back salvage materials, wood, metals, some arcane crystals, similar to ones you brought back yourself, and it's slowly but surely being sorted by the crew into kind of piles, sections on the decking. Anything needs to go below goes below, and as Merrick picks himself up off the deck and dusts himself off, steadying himself, he kind of looks around and nods approvingly and makes his way over to you, to yourself. And Elevar, as you're talking, he's like, I do believe that was quite a successful outing.
Yeah, I believe so. Got a bit hairy towards the end there, but
yes.
It looks like we got everything we need. Can we get the crew to prioritize certain jobs, like certain repairs? Or do they know what they're doing? Do we need to have a chat with them?
I think they would know, but guidance would be essential, I think. And Elevar, and he's like, well, I think definitely the engine and the helm need to be repaired. And then any hull breaches that we may have need to be looked at. I think it'll take a couple of hours to assess everything, and any new damage we may have sustained following the latest jump. But once we can confer and list everything, and I think we have enough materials here to at least get us limping to another sphere for more intense and long sustained repairs. And just to reiterate, I may know of a port we could put in that would also suit my needs.
Wow. Am I here? Can I hear this?
Yeah.
Oh, what's that? I'm intrigued by that.
Well,
this cat's got curiosity.
I had asked for a chance to return to my home sphere of Laconia Prime, and I would have people there that would be able to offer a heavier, more sustained repairs to the ship if needs be. But I think we need to get the ship in a state of actual functioning right now.
Yeah,
even achieve that.
Our first step is get it in working order so that we can get you home, so that you can honor your brother with the appropriate rites, and then, as you say, we can absolutely get the heavier stuff done to the ship when we get there.
Indeed. Well, if that is the case, then I will look to get the crew focused where they need to be focused right now. And he kind of nods and moves off, and you see him starting to kind of gesture to other crew members and guide them and point, and kind of, there's a couple of them gather around him, a couple are taking notes, and he's directing them in certain ways, and then a group of them move kind of into the helm room. Seemingly the crew knows what they're doing in this moment, for the most part, and the kind of salvage materials are being put to good use. The Merrick kind of looks around. He's like, I'm going to see if there were any injuries following that last trip. If you'll excuse me, I'll be down below if you require my assistance for anything. And he kind of vanishes off down below, leaving yourself and Gray standing on the deck looking at all this transpire around you.
The way he talked about the extra materials for his needs, I'll admit, for a second I was like, ooh, he's building himself a man cave, and you're like, no, Gray, he's probably not doing that. He's probably something clerical, you know. But it's nice to have space, I suppose, for yourself.
So what do you want to do in this moment? The crew are kind of doing their thing. There is work that can be done. You don't really have an idea of how long it's going to take yet, but there's anything you just want to do in this moment?
I'm gonna volunteer. I'm gonna volunteer if there's anyone who I can help,
Okay.
even just as a runner.
Okay. Zildar?
I'm gonna go meditate for a bit because that experience kind of damaged my cam a little.
Yeah.
So I just need to realign myself, realign the chakras. And I'm gonna go to my bunk, bring a little flask of something, and meditate chill out for like an hour or two, because it's not often that Z gets rattled, but that actually did rattle her. Like the idea of being in the void with nothing around her and the possibility of meeting her end where no one can hear you scream.
Yeah. That'll do it to you. Okay, so you head off to your one. Great. You kind of go off and start looking to help with the crew, and you find Elivar kind of in the helm room, and he's directing some of the crew members. There's 3 or 4 crew members in there who are taking some of the energy crystals and inserting them into kind of readouts and consoles on around the room, and they click them in. You see it start to kind of come to life again in kind of in piece by piece. It starts to come together. Elivar sees you enter, and he's like, "Oh, oh yeah. Are you able to help, or are you free to give us a hand?"
Yeah, if possible. What can I do?
Well, and he points and he says, "There's a kind of you see a console on the far side, and it's badly damaged. Parts of it, like there's sections where there's knobs and kind of large dials and stuff like that, and they've been damaged. But there's also sockets for where these energy crystals will go. And Elivar is kind of going on. He kind of you see him do some arcane pieces and parts of the kind of the dials unbend, unbreak, and he kind of seems to start mending them. He's basically casting mending on these. He's like, if you could hand me those crystals there and maybe help just insert them one by one into these slots here. And you see 3 or 4 slots on the console.
Okay.
And you see, like, I mean, in this moment, like what you've seen of him over the last while, obviously the grief of his brother's death, he's now more focused on this. It's given him a task to kind of focus on, and he is kind of like just focusing on that task. Give me a perception check, please.
Perception check. Ugh, 11.
He seems that like he's focusing on this. He's not giving off any. You're not reading anything off him, like as in he's not kind of bubbling under the surface waiting to explode or anything. He is just focusing on this.
Do I think he's burying himself in his work?
I mean, he can give that vibe for sure, because there is a task at hand that needs to be done. But also, you're remembering that once this is done, he'll get to go where he needs to go in order to do what he needs to do. So that could be, he could be like doing all of this in order to, there's a means to an ends here. And you kind of set about it, and you work silently. Is there anything you want to ask him? Is there anything you want to do in this moment? Are you just going to work away, or?
See, I want to let him know he can talk to me, but I don't want to be weird about it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to generally make chit chat about where he'd like to go in the future, what does he have an idea of what he'd like to do? Kind of just location wise, like where he wants to go and stuff like that.
I haven't really given much thought, if I'm honest. I just need to get to the next step and then do what I need to do. I haven't really done anything or gone anywhere without my brother in a very long time. And it's strange to try and think of doing anything or going anywhere without him in the future.
Yeah, that's tough.
So it's, and you see there is a kind of there's a frown on his face. And he is focusing on what he's doing, but he's like, you can see in his eyes he's thinking elsewhere. He's off distant somewhere else. He's like, the thing is, it's going to be tough doing what we have to do next. I don't expect anything from anyone here. It's something I have to do. But our rituals, my family, can be intense, and I don't know what to expect when we arrive on Vorconia Prime. We left under strained circumstances. Strained and strange. And he kind of shakes his head a bit and just he doesn't really go on any further. And he doesn't seem to be inviting you to push him in any way, but it's your call, whatever you want to do at this moment.
No, I'm gonna lay off. I'm gonna go and see if we're finished with what we're doing.
Yeah.
I might see if I could go rustle up some snacks and I'll offer him something too.
Yeah, you are working on these consoles for about a half an hour or so, and he kind of the work is done quickly, with the mending spell and with the energy crystals that you've all kind of salvaged. It does get, you see the console start to come up to life, and the spell jamming chair that was in the center of the room begins to levitate again with more strength than it was before. It was quite low on the ground. And the map at the top of the room then starts to move once more. That kind of arcane energy hum coming from it. It's like that ambient sound of the Star Trek Enterprise that I don't have a 10-hour playlist of on YouTube that I listen to while I work. No, but it's that kind of a thing where there's this ambient hum just kicks in.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you're kind of like, okay, and he's like, okay, I think we can move on from here and move on to the next piece. The engine is, and you can see it, that as you're kind of leaving the helm room, those arcane symbols that are kind of carved into the floor and the walls and everything around you, they're now like coming to life with energy once more. And you see the trail moves off out onto the main deck, and you hear cheers as the crew as the ship kind of becomes more steady. And like, while you had artificial gravity, you had that air bubble pocket around the ship. It's now feels more secure. The air isn't as thin in your lungs, and you're able to breathe it a bit better as it's kind of reproduced within the space. It seems to have, you've righted the ship to a degree, but you can see there's work being done elsewhere. You make your way down below towards the kitchen area, and there is like the Griff cook is there, and he's preparing kind of snack foods for people as they're working, and he's just
in
like,
my head he looks kind of like Colin Griffin with that nickname.
Yeah. Oh, right, chap. But he is he's preparing food and different things, and he's just, because he's like, Griffs are massive hippo type creatures, so they're humanoid hippo individuals. So he's a huge bulk in a small area. Like, so the kitchen area is like, he kind of takes up all of it, but he's masterfully cooking in this small confined space. And there is kind of food prepared for crew that are coming and going, and you kind of grab some stuff, Cray, and you head back out and you start giving it. So if you give it to Elevar and even, and they're all kind of eating and working at the same time, rejuvenating themselves for sure. And that continues on for the next hour or two as the ship becomes more sturdy and is repaired and is in better shape than it previously was. There's less sparks coming from random places across the bridge.
That's good.
Across the deck. There's no bits falling off anymore. It does look a bit more mishmash and hodgepodge, because the materials that were taken from the ships were different colorations, different types of wood, different types of metals, so that you do see that patchwork look start to kind of appear across the Silver Spear's decking. That large energy cannon is actually, they move it after about 2 hours. They eventually refocus on getting the weapons back up and running, and they actually affix that to the front of the ship, like right at the front, so it's forward facing.
Nice.
It does sit on a pivot, so there's a large kind of mechanism.
You can turn it.
That it's kind of like a gyroscope. I love a gyroscope, but it's on a gyroscope, so it's got that like whoop. So you turn it slightly and it goes like whoop, like low directions.
Ooh,
It's a
nice.
really cool mechanism that I just thought up. But it's this beautiful, intricate piece that it sits into, and they managed to jury rig it. And there's like a little chair that sits on the back of it, so the gunner can swivel and move. And in my head, I'm going through all the crazy weapon systems of sci-fi, and I'm sorry for the tangent, but the craziest weapon system from sci-fi, I believe, is from the series Crusade. Have you ever seen that? So obviously the Babylon 5. Essentially,
No.
it was a
No.
VR thing where they had a person. It was just a person, and they were in a floaty tank of VR that visualized the entire area around them. And to shoot the weapons, they punched and kicked. Face. It
amazing.
was
Awesome.
ridiculously dumb, really dumb, because this person was doing like Talbot, Billy Blank style, and was just all like, and that was them firing weapons. It was the dumbest shit in the world. It looks fucking stupid. But anyway, yes, but this isn't that. It's a beautifully intricate kind of brass gyroscope with numerous spherical kind of rings around it that the gun sits in, and it has a kind of a cabbie kind of chair at the back that somebody can sit in and swivel the gun around. That has now
Right.
been installed after a couple of hours at the front of the spear, while the other weaponry that was damaged, some of it has been salvaged. I need somebody to roll me a d6, please.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Cool.
Okay.
4.
4. So out of the 6 guns that were, so there's 3 on each side. 4 of them have been repaired. 2 are beyond repair. They're completely fucked.
Okay.
So Carabash did a right number on them. That when they were engaged, they just went and they just imploded. They just imploded on themselves.
Right.
And so the face on Kim. So you now have this large energy cannon, which is a pretty powerful weapon. Also a very good mode of transport through space, apparently. But it's now sitting at the front in this beautiful gyroscope moving cockpit thing, and then you have you can choose. Do you just want to have, like, because you've managed to do 4 guns, do you just want to have 2 on one side and 2 on the other side of the ship? Like they were
Yes.
3 and 3. So
Yes.
is that what you just want to do with the
Well,
configuration?
I would expect that the crew would try and do one on each side, so that we're not completely defenseless to
Sure.
one side. So
Yeah.
that's
Also
how they've done it.
going-
They've gone kind of alternated. So they did
Oh,
one,
cool.
then did another.
So after this has taken a couple of hours to do. So they've managed to kind of, the ship is back in a state of repair that is pretty good, and they have the weaponry back up. While all of this is happening, Zilzara, you are in your meditative state. You go back to your quarters, or do you go to Mingna's quarters? Because you were given Mingna's quarters as yourself and Gray being co-acting captains.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to Mingna's quarters.
Okay.
And sit myself down cross-legged. I do have the flask or wineskin, whatever, with me, thinking that I might have a few slurps of that, steady my nerves. But first and foremost, sit down, kind of take out her crystal, lay her sword on her lap, kind of try and get into a relaxed state and calm her mind.
Okay. You start to, like, you feel the ship over a couple of minutes as you're you're finding it difficult to actually get into your meditative state following the trauma that you've suffered and different things that have happened. You also start to recall while you were in the Spelljam helm with Elevar, you saw those flashes of somewhere, and you saw Carad in a field with flames and his bloodied face as he turned to you, and you're trying hard to focus. But then after a couple of about a half an hour or so, you feel the thrum of the ship come through the decking as it comes back to life, and that rhythmic sound, again, that beautiful ambience. Check it out on YouTube. 10 Hours of the Enterprise. It's amazing. You feel that kind of enter your consciousness, and it allows you to focus, and you enter your meditative state. Is there anything you're focusing on? Is there anything you're looking to do, or are you just looking to calm your mind in this moment?
I think she initially calm her mind, but also see if she can make sense of those visions that she had while she was on the helm. So it was apologies. It was Carrot, obviously. He was there was flames around him. Was there anything else?
He was in a
Or
field,
maybe,
like it was like in
yeah,
grasslands. It was tall, like kind of like knee to waist high grasslands.
yeah.
Think gladiator, or essentially
Gladiator.
Yeah,
that
that's
type
what I
of
was
thing, you know.
thinking.
Think like he's basically like, yeah, like full on that. But he's not
Yeah.
you know, rubbing the chaff of the wheat or anything like that. He's just
Crazy.
standing still. He has his back to you, and he just turns his head slightly as if to look behind him where you are, and then you can just see blood kind of trickling down the side of his face. And there's in the distance, those same grasslands are a flame. There's fire
Okay.
like reaching up to the sky. Do you want to try and focus on that?
Yeah, yeah, to see if there's any kind of clue as to what it means. Because obviously he's dead. So like,
Yeah.
you know, what does it mean for his eternal soul?
So as you're kind of going into your meditative state, I want you to do you can either give me one of two things, because you enter your trance state.
Yep.
You kind of feel the blade on your lap as you're sitting cross-legged. The arcane crystal around your neck is humming, and then it falls in rhythm with the hum of the ship in your mind.
Yep.
And you then start to revisit those flashes of whatever they are, and they come vividly at first, sharp, kind of bursting into your consciousness, and there's violence to them. You see like, you see people screaming, you see people running. There's something happening, but you're trying hard to make it out. So I need you to give me one of two things, because you're already in your state. Give me an investigation or perception at this point, not anything, just one of those two. So pick one, investigation or perception.
Okay, I'm gonna roll perception. I'm gonna do it on D&D Beyond here.
Okay.
15.
You focus in and you try to slow these images down, and you start to look for details. And you don't know this landscape, you've never seen it before, but you start to notice things about it where it flashes between these landscapes of grasslands on fire to calm, beautiful Ghibli-esque style blue skies, green grass, mountain-esque areas. But then the landscape is also made up, you see, as part of it now, in these grasslands, there are huge blue ice crystals. They seem to be not icicles, but they're like blue, like ice blue color that punctuate the landscape. They're huge, massive, as they kind of are reaching up towards the sky, large kind of shards of these, I think, Fortress of Solitude type stuff. But they're all individual shards. They're not all clustered together to make a structure, but they're just all over the landscape. As far as the eye can see off in the distance, the different sizes, and you can sense that there is like the land is permeated with this feeling of arcane energies coming from these crystals. And you can see as well, like as they travel off, there's a huge mountainous area off in the distance, and as you focus in on this a bit more, all of a sudden you're standing in that grasslands. It's quiet.
Okay.
You can feel the air blowing your hair and against your cheek, and it's like a very warm spring day, and you can hear the chittering of birds off in the distance, and it's so. But other than that, it's unbelievably quiet. And then in a split instance, it's gone, and there are flames everywhere. All of the grasslands are on fire, black billowing smoke filling the sky. These ice blue crystals are shining through this kind of like fire drenched landscape, but you can still sense that arcane energy is there throughout everything. It permeates the land. Then off in the distance you hear kind of a rumble roar, loud, cavernous, echoing, coming closer and closer and closer. And then there's like this massive shadow that just envelops the land. You look up and you just see the underbelly of this gargantuan dragon that is just scorching the landscape. Just fire breathing.
Full Dracaria's moment.
Give me another perception check, please.
He's burninating the countryside?
Yep.
Okay.
Dragon!
Another perception. 14. As you look up and as this gargantuan dragon flies off and swoops down in a different area, you just make out on the back of this dragon is this armored rider in a saddle.
wielding a massive battle axe.
What you call me?
And with a 14, you can make out that it's a humanoid individual, seemingly of elven ancestry, but you can't make much more else out of that. And again, in another flash, you're in that same green fields. The fires are gone. The dragon is gone. It's peaceful once again. And then off in the distance, you just see that shape of Carrot standing in the grasslands. It's
What
back
color
to
was
you.
the dragon?
The dragon was a massive kind of obsidian black dragon. But it was bigger than any dragon you've ever seen. It was huge. It enveloped the sky, like it blotted out the sky. But then you just see Carrot again off in the grasslands, just off in the distance. It's back to you. And this continues for a couple of seconds. There's nothing else. There's no other visions of dragons. It's just a calm, quiet grasslands, and you just see Carrot standing there with his back to you. Off. He's a good 100 yards away.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, I think after that vision, she's going to snap out of her meditation.
Give me a wisdom saving throw, please.
Oh shit, son! Can't even go for the bleeding kip around here. Someone's trying to give you bleeding psychic damage for having a nap.
Oh no! That one plus 2 is 3.
Plus 2 is 3. You go to pull yourself. You think you can pull yourself out of your vision, and you
foolish girl!
You attempt to pull yourself out of your vision, and you just feel a hand on your shoulder, and you can't turn around. You're frozen in the spot. You see a hand on your shoulder, and then a large black spider crawls down over your chest, and you look down at it. And the hand on your shoulder has these long clawed fingers. And there's a mouth and like a whisper at your ear. It's like, you didn't think it'd be that easy, did you? And you just feel a stabbing pain in your back. In this video, you feel a stabbing pain in your back, and you feel the air go out of your lungs. And then Carrot is right in front of you. Blood streaming down his face, and he just looks at you and says, "It will all burn." You snap out of your vision, breath caught in your throat. You are kind of sitting cross-legged, and you look down, and the blade has clattered to the floor, and it's about 5 feet away from you. It's glowing light blue in the dark, and you are just. You feel the hum of the ship beneath you. Your breath slowly starts to come back, and you're catching your breath. And you can just sense this dull ache in your back. And for a second, you know, whenever you look in a corner in a room somewhere, you think you see something skittering?
Yeah.
As you're kind of visioning back in, and you turn slightly, and you just think for a second, a split second, you feel that the spider is still there on your shoulder, and then it's gone. As you turn out of your peripheral vision, when you couldn't turn to look directly at it, it's not there.
What the fuck? She's going to I presume she's like sweating and
cold sweat. Full cold sweat.
Yeah, full cold sweat.
Yeah.
She's gonna uncork the wineskin and take a long draw out of that. She is visibly shook, as they say. That's thrown a lot of things at her, because initially she was worried, I guess, about what the flames meant, but the fact that she couldn't pull herself out, and now like there's all sorts going through her brain about, you know, the influence of Lolth and all that kind of stuff. But she as she's kind of calming down, and you know, realizing, yes, it was a vision. It was a fucking scary one, but I'm alive. I don't appear to be visibly hurt. Checking her like side and back for fucking holes.
When you touch your back, you feel like there's like a 5-day-old bruise there.
Right.
Oh.
Okay.
You feel like it's healing, but it's like, oh, that's tender.
Still stiff.
That's tender.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And it's just in her back, I presume, kind of.
Where as you kind of you realize that's kind of where I felt I'd been, whatever had something had happened where I'd been stabbed in the vision.
Yeah. So she's calming down a little bit. The wine has helped. And
the cause of and solution to your
all of life's problems. Yeah. I suppose regardless, she needs to go and chat to Elevar. She wants to understand the significance of Arad in her vision.
Yeah.
But she's also going to share the whole lot. First of all, she's going to go find her little furry friend, Gray, because as reluctant as Zale has been to get close to people, she recognizes that her and Gray have been through a lot at this stage, and hiding something from Gray in particular is not something that would benefit her in the long run.
Okay.
So she's gonna go make her way to the deck, I guess, and see if she can spot Gray and have a little chat with him and bring him up to speed and kind of see what he's been at and see where we are in terms of repairs and progress.
Okay, excellent. You make your way out onto the deck and you realize, like, you went in there and there was a lot of repairs that needed to be done, and just as you come out onto the deck, you see that it's all been done, and you realize, how long was I in there for?
Yeah.
Like, you've been in there for hours. Like, what it was split second for you was hours, and the ship is repaired, and you look, and Gray is at the end of the deck. They've just finished installing the new cannon, the new energy cannon, and Gray is full on the end of it. Titanic in his...
Because Z's intention was go meditate for an hour or two and kind of come back, see where the guys were at, see if Elevar needed a hand. She's not as I suppose she's not as handy in terms of repairs maybe as some of the others are. But yeah, it was definitely not her intention to be gone for like half a day.
Yeah, you were gone for about 3 to 4 hours, and and you're kind of like, as you're walking, you're kind of finding there's stiffness in your bones because you've been literally sat in a meditative, like, cross-legged position, arms folded in front of you, kind of like that for like 4 hours. It's going to be like, oh, a bit stiff. But you're kind of walking on the deck now, and the crew seem to be in good spirits now that they're happy that the repairs have been done. You can see that there's 2 energy cannons on either side of the ship now being installed, and that large energy cannon on its new gyroscope mount at the far end. That it's like, and Gray is kind of there with Merrick, and you can see the crew are kind of testing the.
Yeah,
they're all having a go.
That's what you'd be doing, isn't it?
Everyone's having a go. Everyone's like, "Gives a go!" And they're like jumping on, and they're like.
I'm thinking about Luke in the gunner in the gunner seat. Yeah.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
That's it. I was exactly or there's a similar one on the Ghost in Rebels.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, and Gray, you look up and you can see Zildara coming towards you up the deck.
Do I look shook still?
Well,
how do you look?
Yeah, you probably would look a bit like even more drawn in the face than you normally do, and
or you can roll perception to see how much I've worked out how Zil feels.
Yeah, you can roll insight, actually. Roll
insight. Okay.
Insight check.
Let's roll insight. Oh fuck, 22, baby!
Yeah. Straight away, you're like, there's something up here.
Yeah.
There's something up here. What's the crack with this? It's like there's definitely an issue with Zildar. She looks like she should have been meditating, but looks like she's
Yeah.
just literally been working out for 5 hours.
Right. Yeah, with a 22, I probably saw it myself.
Yeah.
Let me see. Right. So I'm gonna just turn around and face Zill as she walks on. Zill, are you okay?
Not
So no.
entirely. No.
No is the answer, right?
No is the answer. I just, yeah. I need to fill you in on this vision that I've had. So I go through the whole thing for the sake of brevity. I go through the whole thing with Gray. And
Elevar isn't near us, is he?
No. Well, I suppose I want to go through with you first.
Yeah.
And also I will share the scary spidery bit with you, but potentially leave that out of the version for Elevar.
Yep.
The bit that concerns Elevar is the Karad section, and I want to understand if they have any connection to a dragon or a dragon knight, dragon rider. What does the landscape look like, their home sphere, that kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, I bring you right up to speed and talk about the horrible skittery spider at the end as well. And yeah, so I finish up and I'm like, yep, my intention was to go recenter myself and come back and help in like an hour or two, and I feel like I have been run over by a 10-ton cart. I have this weird pain in my back still, where I was telling you about the stabbing, and the spider and the voice Lalt is involved somehow. I'm convinced.
Yeah, no, that's what that sounds like. I don't know why I thought you were going to be left alone. I don't know why I thought that that feud for you would be left in the past, but do you think that this place marks our next voyage or something we need to flee from?
I think I need to talk to Elevar first and find out if that landscape ties to where we're going to his homeworld. Because we can't avoid going there, and it'd be good to know if that's what it is, because then I can maybe prepare myself and we can prepare ourselves if there's going to be some sort of showdown. The Lalt thing, I don't know. I guess I thought with the training I did with my mother that perhaps an alternative goddess might have my back. And Lalt is tricksy and hard to evade. And she seems to have her claws still firmly stuck into me. But also I don't want to neglect finding Mingna either, because we still need to get her back and get rid of these tattoos and find out what's going on there. It's a lot, it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot, one thing after another. I mean, the Silver Spirit crew, I'm so impressed with. I mean,
holy shit, there's still so much done.
They're so fully on board the Silver Spear mission. I mean, without the captain and with a lot of what they thought to be true turning out to not be true, they've managed to stay very illusioned. They're still on board, literally. Still on board.
I have seen stronger folk break on my travels under less than what has been thrown at these guys.
Yeah.
And I have been really surprised, but also kind of humbled in how they have supported us, you and me. So I feel like as much of it's a pain in the ass, I've got to do right by them.
Yeah, it started to feel like we've made a difference everywhere we go. So it's hard to give up, you know.
I don't like being remembered, though. I'd rather just pass through somewhere, you know, and quietly and quickly maybe do some damage, but not necessarily be remembered.
Yeah, I hear that.
So, what do you think? Do I go straight to Elevar with this vision about Carrot?
Yeah, give it maybe till he's been working very hard this afternoon. Maybe give it a little bit of time.
Okay.
And but today, you know,
yeah.
If he goes for a rest, maybe after that. I think I'm gonna go for a rest too, if that's okay. I've been running around.
I think you should. I'll take a turn of the deck.
Yeah.
And I'll see if there's any work that the guys need help with, or and get a progress update, and then I'll catch up with you once you've had a little nap.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
So the crew are kind of now busying themselves, kind of clearing the debris, anything that's left over, any materials that are still salvageable and reusable. They're stowing below decks in storage, and then they're kind of now looking for not looking for work, but they're looking to their usual chores and duties on the ship. Merrick appears as the two of you are kind of striding back down the deck, and Gray, if you're planning on going to having a sleep, then that's fine. He kind of he's there puffing on his pipe, and he's like, I believe we're kind of in a situation where we could probably plot a course. Everything seems to be in order. For the most part, a few extra pieces are needed for sure. The ship may not hold as well over long journeys, so I would recommend short bursts in its current state, as he kind of gestures with his pipe at different sections, pointing at, like, you know, this here, and like just kind of giving you an idea of this particular decking, while sturdy right now, can't take a battering in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
And you can see he has a kind of a clipboard that he's going through a list of equipment, and he's tapping with his pipe on the list, and he kind of gestures, and there's a couple of crew come up, and he's like, well, we'll bring that down into storage and so on. So he seems to be quartermastering the shit out of this, for sure. Gray, are you heading off for a sleep now, are you?
Yeah, if I can.
Yeah.
If it suits.
Are you going to the captain's quarters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Although, are they cursed?
But you don't know.
That's where I went for my meditation.
That's what I mean. I'm gonna go in, and if I feel kind of hinky about anything, I'm gonna go somewhere else.
That's cool. There's a chaise long there you can stretch out on or curl up on or whatever, and you kind of, after a couple of minutes, you do doze off. And you know, it's not an eventful sleep. You do have the odd kind of twinge of a dream or a nightmare, but you know, who wouldn't after the shit you've been through? But you get some rest. In the meantime, Zilzara, what are you doing?
What am I doing? So she caught up with Merrick. I don't want to go straight to Elevar. But also she's kind of at a loss at the minute. Maybe, I know, she's like, maybe if I eat something, I'll feel better.
Yeah.
So she's gonna take a wee walk down to the mess, or the galley.
Yeah.
What's
Mess,
what's the part of the ship?
Mess. There'll be the mess in the galley and whatever. And you head down, and some of the crew are eating food, and they're kind of like off in the corner, and they kind of nod and give you a wave as you enter. And they're quickly eating food and then going about their jobs and stuff on the ship. So there's an array of different foods there available for you to eat. None of them unbelievably appetizing. It's the best they can do with kind of ship-based supplies. It is good, and it's kind of like hearty food, designed to kind of fill you up and keep you going for a long period of time. And there's different things. There's even a vegetarian option, if that's what floats your boat.
Okay, she's gonna grab a bowl of something,
Okay.
and prop herself at one of the tables.
You're sitting there not too long. Nobody's really making overly loud conversation. You can take stock here. Roll me an insight check on the room itself. You're reading the room as a whole.
15.
While
a lot of mediocre rolls.
15's good. 15's a good roll.
Sorry.
So you're kind of eating the food and you're taking stock, looking around the room, and there's not many people making overly loud conversation. There's a couple of murmurs here and there, but it's not an overly jovial place. But the crew seem to be bolstered in a way now that the ship is a bit more repaired, and you're getting a vibe that there's a slight trace of hope here, but they're also a bit kind of downtrodden about the overall situation. The vibe here is there's hunched shoulders, heads down, eating the bowls that they're eating from. There's the odd nudge and the odd kind of chuckle here and there when they're having a conversation, but there's nothing too boisterous. You have seen this mess hall be more boisterous at different times. Right now, they're just tired. The crew are working, and they're just stopping in for a quick bite so they can go back to doing what they were doing and get the ship back to fully operational peace. You're there for about 15 minutes, and Elevar comes down the stairs and grabs a bowl, and he looks up and he catches your eye from across the room and kind of moves over to kind of sit, and he goes, "Would you mind if I joined you?"
Not at all.
And he kind of just nods and sits down and just starts quietly eating. Not necessarily kicking up a conversation, but just kind of there. And he's like, I'm used to always having someone in the room. So while I was sitting with my brother, it seemed I probably needed to go and eat some food and see actual living people for a bit. The ship is in good working order. Crew have done a good job.
Yeah. When I came back a little while ago, I was surprised at how much progress they'd made. Tell me, I've never been to your home sphere. What is Draconia Prime like?
It has been quite some time since I myself was there, but it is a beautiful place. It's where I'm from, the province I used to call home. It's a lot of farmlands. The fiefdom is mainly known for its produce, and it's got a good population of farmers and smiths and general people. There are lords and kings and all sorts, but they are just for the most part, as far as I remember. And he's got a frown on his face as he says this. Roll an insight check on me there, please.
Balls. 8.
8. He's kind of difficult to read in this situation. You can definitely see like whether he's having trouble believing what he's saying or whether, he's just kind of glossing over any detail. It says, the thing about Draconia Prime is it is a land steeped in magic. I am not unique there, even with my brother. The two of us spellcasters, but nearly everyone there has some level of magic to them. The land itself is imbued with arcane energies. From the very grain of sand to the highest tree to the tallest mountain, there's energy of the magics everywhere. And I suppose we all owe thanks to all of that due to the dragons.
Oh.
Yes.
They existed on your sphere?
They used to rule our sphere, but that was eons ago. But now they are not creatures of myth. As the last time I remember being there, they still flew the skies, but not in great numbers. But the magics had changed over the decades and the hundreds of years, becoming more diluted. And some people tried to find ways to embolden themselves with more power, and it didn't end well. Yes. Carrot used to always say that we left so we weren't dragged into something like that, but I never really believed that. I felt we left because there was nothing there for us anymore. Yes.
It's difficult to leave your home, though. I understand that, regardless of the circumstances. At least you had each other.
Yes, we did. We did.
Aww.
Do we plan on plotting a course anytime soon? I'm willing to lend a hand on the helm if you wish to co-pilot once again.
Yeah, I can do. I just spoke to Merrick, and he said that as long as we do short bursts and no hard burns, we should be okay to travel with the repairs that have been completed so far. And everything else can wait till we get to Draconia Prime.
Yes, indeed. Just on that as well, when we are done with the rituals I need to undertake for my brother's burial, I haven't really had much time to think, but you will need help rescuing the captain. I don't believe the spear by itself will be able to face the forces of the Iron Lord by itself.
Yeah, well, like, Gray and I are good fighters, but, you know, if you knew any solid mercenaries or if you know anybody who'd be willing to come with us, I'm sure they'd be welcome. And what were you thinking?
Well, it's just that I'm not 100% sure yet. I have an idea, but we'll have to wait until we get to Draconia Prime to understand, so I can understand what to do next. And then I'll be able to answer that question. But I think it's definitely not something you want to undertake by yourself. One ship against what could potentially be hundreds is not a recipe for success.
Unless you're pretty sneaky.
And he kind of can't help himself, but he kind of gives a indeed, yes. Sneaky. Well, I'm going to go plot a course. It shouldn't take too long, probably 2 short jumps to reach Draconia. I'll meet you in the helm room shortly.
Yeah.
And he kind of nods and brings his bowl back and puts it in the mess kind of clean up area and then heads out, giving the Griff cook a nod as he leaves. And he heads off to the helm room to plot the course. What do you want to do next?
Okay, so she's kind of sitting there and digesting everything that she's been told. Her concern now is obviously she has to link up with Elevar to fly the ship, and she doesn't want that vision to have planted any nasty surprises that could affect them while they're trying to get to their destination, be it on this journey or any journey going forward. So I think she's gonna tell Elevar before we set out. She's gonna tell him. I think the chat that they've just had, while he's obviously carrying grief for his brother, he's not as distraught as he was. She kind of wanted to chat there to kind of get a feel for him, and she thinks it's okay to now tell him about her vision. So she's gonna get up, put her bowl away. As she's leaving the mess, are there any crew left?
There's crew coming and going the entire time. They're coming in, grabbing something, leaving, or some are sitting and eating food.
As she's leaving, she's just gonna thump on one of the tables to get their attention and just very quickly say, "Folks, you've done an amazing job today. Keep it up. You're doing great." And she leaves.
She cast gothic inspiration.
She just says, "Hey now, let's go." But no, the crew kind of acknowledge that. The ones that are there, they're like, "Aye." There's a kind of an echoing of eyes throughout the cabin, and any of them that have glasses raise them to you as you leave and kind of thump the table in happiness and stuff. And there seems to be a general feeling of camaraderie still within the crew, and some of them are giving you a nod, and there's genuine appreciation in their faces as they say it. So yeah, no. Okay, so you head out up onto the deck. Are you heading straight to the helm room?
Is there? I was gonna say, how long has it been? Because
it's only been about an hour, I'd say.
Okay.
An hour between when you woke up, had chats with Gray. Gray went off for a kip, and then you kind of came in here. So
grand. I'm just wondering whether we need to wake Gray before we set off, but I might leave him to it because he's a tired kitty.
Yeah, I'm in honk shoe me phase.
Yeah, so in that case, I'm going to make my way to the helm and have a wee chat with Elevar before actually, I'm going to let him give me the details of his.
Actually, let me just check.
Plotting.
How many spell slots have you got left?
Me?
Yeah.
You just meditated. Does that do anything?
Do you?
If you do your meditation and it's all fucked up and sweaty, do you not?
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. I don't know. I meant to ask you, Wayne. Actually, do they not regenerate because of my tumultuous meditation? Because I do all my level 1 slots are gone, and 2 of my 3 level 2s. So it's whether you want to allow that.
So what we can say is, if you want, it's been agreed with you and Elevar that you do need to have a proper rest before any plotting is done. Right, and in that turn, you get to rest, and also you'll be able to wake Gray at the end of it, because Gray has also had a rest at that point.
Okay, so I'll go talk to Elevar first and then have a rest. Is that what
I'm doing this?
Well, you've had a conversation with Elevar. Well, if you want to go talk to Elevar again about something, that's totally okay in the helm room. Totally okay. You can have another conversation with him, but there will need to be a long rest for you to regain your spell slots.
Yeah, sure.
That meditation was too traumatic.
Yeah. No,
you got injury out of it. You didn't get rest. So.
Okay, right. Well, then I'm going to have a kip. And after that, but before we take off, I'll have a little chat with Elevar about my vision.
Okay. So do you go back to the captain's quarters again?
No, I'm going to go back to our old quarters.
Cool. Because
I don't want to disturb Gray, and 2, fuck that room. the way I'm
Bad
feeling at the
juju.
moment.
Nice. So
Yeah.
you head back to your quarters. You kind of get your rest in. So you can both mark a long rest.
I'll
And
do
you'll
that
regain
now.
spell slots, and you'll kind of recuperate yourself. Any
Stuff.
HP that you've lost, you get that back as well.
Yep.
So you awaken from your long rest, Zilzara and Grey. You awaken as well. And you,
Big stretch.
and do you both make your way out onto the deck and stuff?
Yeah.
Cool. So you kind of meet up on the deck, and you kind of like it is kind of now time, and you see that America is kind of wandering the deck again, clipboard still in hand, pipe still in his other hand, and he's kind of puffing away, and he's kind of chatting away to some of the crew. Then the numbers on the deck are diminished now. It seems like that a lot of the crew have taken time to rest, and we're now kind of on the skeleton crew shift where they're just kind of keeping the ticking over. The ship has actually drifted and been moved out. You seemingly like there's no obvious trade route or movement routes. You don't see that. You're in the void, but the ship has kind of been moved in a section, and you're now looking off. It seems like there's off in the far distance to your left as you're standing there. There's this beautiful nebula, like hundreds of leagues away, but it's just like blues and greens and reds, kind of like just bursting slowly in the void, and the stars are twinkling around, and you just see this like this huge gaseous formation, and the view is gorgeous.
What you call me?
Hey, the view is gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning, and you're now, given that the seeming kind of element of danger has passed. Once again, you're getting to appreciate the view, and the full beauty of the universe that's out there. And Merrick looks down and sees the two of you and starts making his way towards you as you're standing there looking off into the void, and he's like, I don't think I have ever gotten used to the view on this ship. It's always stunning and beautiful. And that's only when I look in the mirror. Yes. Quite dry. Indeed. Well, are we ready to get on the way?
I believe we should be soon.
Yeah, if the
Alavar
crew
was
is
looking to
ready,
plot-
we're ready.
Yeah, Alavar was looking to plot a course when I spoke to him earlier. I am going to go have a quick chat with him, but I expect we'll be ready to go within the hour.
Excellent. I will rouse the crew and prepare everything. Jolly good. And he kind of totters off to start getting the crew up. You kind of hear him shouting through the corridors as you go in. He's like, rise and shine, and he's banging on doors and stuff like that, and hear the odd fuck off coming from the rooms, Yeah, so you go in, and Elevar is in the helm room. He's been there the entire time, and he has worked out plotted courses, and you can see that the helm room is now kind of bathed in a multitude of rainbow of lights because of the hodgepodge crystals that have been salvaged. They're not all one color, they're not all one energy level, so there's a lot of kind of myth busting here. There's a lot of kit bashing as far as the crystalline entities that were being used to be put into these things to keep the ship up and running, and it is giving this kaleidoscope effect throughout the room. And you walk in and you see that light just shimmering around as Alavar kind of looks up from the charts that he has, and you can see that the ceiling is kind of moving and twirling into the coordinates that he's putting in. He's like, "Oh, you're awake. Excellent."
Yeah, I'm kind of digging the new color scheme.
It's interesting to say the least. Just don't stare too long because you get a bit loopy in the eyes.
And you managed to plot our course while I was gone. You mentioned earlier that it'd be 2 jumps. Is that still the case?
It is still the case. 2 jumps, not too strenuous on the ship. Won't require full power to get us where we need to be. So it should be quite an easy procedure.
Okay. I wanted to have a chat with you before we get going. And I suppose because we will share the connection that you and your brother shared to fly the ship, I want to make sure that there are no surprises between you and I as much as possible. When we first came back to the Silver Spear, after our scavenging adventure, and I went to meditate, I had a vision, and I go into the details of the vision, that what I saw, the landscape and Karad and what have you.
As you're describing all of this, you just see that, like, even though there's a multitude of rainbow lights coming from their space, and this kind of serious conversation is very much juxtaposition with the kind of the color scheme, and but you can see
the pride party going on.
Yeah, there is a draining in Elevar's face, and his eyes grow wide as you start to describe landscape, and he's just nodding, and then you tell him like about Karad, and you tell him, and then when you start to mention the dragons, he kind of cups his chin in his hand and leans against the console, and he kind of, as you were talking, he absentmindedly sat in the helm in his chair, and he was just kind of head in hands listening, and lets you finish and goes through the whole thing, doesn't interrupt you once.
Okay. I'm not, as I said, I'm not trying to freak you out, or, you know, I am conscious of the burden that you're carrying at the moment, but I felt it was important to talk to you about this.
Gray, are you there as well?
Yeah.
He kind of looks at both of you and he's like, I appreciate you telling me this. Those images you saw that informed your vision, that was due to our connection. And he kind of he kind of pauses for a second. It seems like he's having a hard time trying to find the words to kind of come out with. When me and my brother left Varconia, it wasn't under good circumstances with our family.
You've hinted at that.
Yes. And while that may sound like a usual trivial thing of families, with our family it's a bit more difficult, given that we are the main royal family on Varconia.
Oh my god.
Oh, runaway princes!
Oh my god.
Runaway prince, never going back.
Wrong way down an ancestral track, yes.
Oh, we are not, like, we are twins, or were twins. We weren't the next in line or anything. We were quite far down the line of succession, but there was a war, and our uncle sought to steal the throne from our father.
Ooh.
And it was quite treacherous, and our lives were threatened. And our brother, our dear brother Tarsus, headstrong, powerful, and next in line to the throne after my father dies, took it upon himself to drag Karad on one last mission before we departed, which led to tragedy, which I don't know 100% of. I just know that it cost our dear sister her life.
Oh shit.
I have one brother now, Tarsus. I had two sisters. One is dead, and the other's still living. She is headstrong, and she told us we needed to go. We needed to flee, for our brother blamed Karad for her death. And it led to turmoil with our father. You see, the dragons that I spoke of, they would be our royal mounts.
Wow.
But you are bonded with your dragon from birth. My sister never bonded with hers, and it caused magical upheaval in the lands. And it was that lack of bonding that our uncle used to sow the seeds of doubt in our family line. So we ran, like cowards, and vanished among the stars, and found a new home here. And now I must return, because if I do not, the magics contained within the body of my brother could tear this ship apart. Because the bond with your dragon creates a link. When we left, we had to leave our dragons behind. We let them run free in the wild. And now that my brother has died, we must return his energies, and he must be consumed by his dragon. That is the ritual I spoke of.
Oh man, what did your brother's dragon look like?
Oh, it was a large green dragon.
Okay.
Sleek, beautiful. And last I saw it, vanishing off into the horizon in the distance of Laconia. We must find it and allow it to consume my brother's energies, so he may pass on, and that energy be re-sown into the land. That is our way.
Did anyone in your family have an obsidian dragon?
And he kind of sits up as you ask that question. He kind of looks up and, there haven't been obsidian dragons in our line for thousands of years.
Okay. Kind of glad you said that.
Because the last one, and he kind of stops and looks at the ground a bit. The last king ride an obsidian dragon nearly burned Verconia Prime to a cinder.
That
Okay.
explains all the fire in my vision, perhaps.
I don't know what we're going to find when we get there. I just know I need to find that dragon.
Are you expecting a heated altercation with Tarsus?
I'll be prepared for one, but his problem wasn't with me. His problem was with Carrot.
Obviously, I don't know your brother, and I'm new to this story. I think it's, as we would say, a dick move for him to bring your brother on that quest and then blame him for your sister's passing.
Tarsus was a conniving prick. Is a conniving prick, I guess, if he's still alive. But he always did everything for himself. Everything was to better him, to get him more power, to get him more wealth. He was not the most just of brothers, and he probably won't be the most just of kings. But that is the line of succession.
Can we get a message to your sister?
I've tried.
Okay.
I haven't received an answer.
Okay.
I don't expect you to get dragged into this. This is my undertaking. But
well, we knew. I mean, when Kara died, we knew you had to go home. I mean, it's gotten more involved, but it's still the thing we knew you had to do.
It's just I don't want anyone to get hurt, and I don't want Karen's death to impact any more and cause any more pain and anguish. And he's like, we can go. I think we can definitely investigate quietly for starters,
mm-hmm.
and maybe look to see what the situation is and take it from there. But I don't have any plans to stay. I do wish to return here. And as I said, he turns to Zelzara, and I did say we could look to get help. Our dragons are astral dragons. they can fly through the void. And if you had even one of them flying with the spear, that would be a great asset against the Iron Lord, Mignon's father, and anything he may throw at you.
So you're thinking your dragon and carrots, or just yours?
Not carrots. Carrots is now free. My dragon, again, I let it free, but it's still tied to me. I can still sense it when I'm near it. So I might be able to retrieve her. But it's been a very long time. But if my sister is alive, she could help us. She is a very powerful voice in the court of my father's rule.
Okay. I think we get there and then we make some plans about how we're going to get closer and investigate. The crew are ready for us to get going.
Okay. Yes. And he kind of gets the charts and kind of ruffles them up, rolls them up and folds. Let us go, I guess. And he seems to be like he's gone through waves of grief, he's gone through waves of mourning, but now that he's gotten that story out and told you what may lie ahead, there is an element of relief to him that you still want to go.
Okay.
And it's palpable, it's there, it's visible, he's not hiding anything, you can see it in his face as he gets up and starts to ready everything and then gestures for you to jump in the chair. And he turns to Gray and he's like, if you could just mend that station over. And he points to a console on the far side. The configuration is a little bit different, so I need you to pull some levers here in order to activate the helm. And he kind of tells you which ones to do. And it was the console that you fixed earlier on with him.
Okay.
So Zilzara, you get into the helm with him? The twin helm? Yeah. So you both get in. And you flip the switches, and the sensation's a little bit different this time around because you know what to expect, and you connect a lot quicker, and there's no requirement for you to roll because his mind is open, and you open your mind as well, and you're both aware of what the visions are. So there's no subterfuge, there's no kind of deception. There's very much
to your mind,
very much a more open connection. And Gray, you flip those switches and you can feel the ship come to life, and you can hear the shout from down the corridor, like all hands on deck, as the crew are now scarping to get to their positions, that they can feel the spear come to life. And that thrum is the same, but also there's an underlying, it's like when it's an older model of a car that has just been upgraded slightly, so it's got that extra bit of power behind it, but it's unstable because it's unknown, because the crystals around this room start to flicker and shine, and there's kind of like bursts of energy coming out of each of them. And Gray, as you're standing there, you can't help but be like, oh, because there's a burst of energy here, burst of energy there, but the two of you in the helm are connected. You feel the ship kind of expand in your mind. You can see the void around you, and the ship then starts to turn and tilt as the coordinates are entered in, and it gets ready to jump. And then within a couple of seconds, you all hold your breath. Then the Spelljammer is gone into the void, making its first jump towards Verconia Prime. And that's where we're going to take our break. Okay, folks, we'll be back in a couple of minutes. We're going to go stretch our legs, get a drink, and we will talk to you in a second. Welcome back. We had just left off where the folks on the Silver Spear had jumped into hyperspace for their first of two jumps towards Verconia Prime. Now a bit more backstory is there now for what is in store for the crew when they go to this mysterious and magical land of dragons. So you have completed the ship then comes out of hyperspace after its first jump, seemingly perfectly fine. No instances whatsoever. Very straightforward. Very, very short jump. Yourself and Elvar now more in sync due to the kind of the conversations that you've been having. the more open you've been about the situations you're finding yourselves in, him being more open about his kind of backstory and where he's from. And you kind of the ship is already adjusting itself ready for the second jump. Gray, the space itself that you're operating, I need you to give me a performance check in what you're doing in the area, because you're kind of Scottying this piece.
I got a 14 because I have plus 11, but thank fuck I've plus 11.
Yeah. So you're moving around the consoles. You're kind of reacting to when there's a flare in energy. So you're kind of going where the energy is, and that seems to be working for you so far. You weren't given a manual for this. You're kind of playing this by ear easily, but as a bard, that's easy enough. So you're kind of you managed to kind of hit the right dials, the right things. So what we're going to do is on the last jump, it's a bit of a longer jump. So the first one was a short one. Now it's kind of the ship is now repositioning itself for its second and final jump. And in your mind, Zilzara, you're kind of stretched out with your senses. You can see the swirling void around you and the nebulous gases and the beautiful kind of starlight as it swirls through the void. And as the ship turns to kind of reposition itself, ready to jump. So Gray, just as you're kind of starting to get things ready and start to get the gears and the dials in place.
Yeah.
Following your kind of instincts on this, both these together, and I'm going to roll for Elevar. So I need another performance check from you, Gray, and I need an Arcana check from you, Zilzara, and I'll do one for Elevar.
That's a 25 from Gray.
Christmas.
That's a 23 from me.
Nice. And
Right,
Elevar,
don't let us down, Merrick.
Elevar rolled an 18.
Oh, Elevar.
He has +9 to his Arcana, so
Nice.
that is a 27. So it literally smooth as butter as the ship just slides into position and then
Like a glove.
like a glove.
Like a glove.
And the ship starts to kind of get buffeted about a bit because it's a longer journey, and there is a couple of sparks here and there. But Gray, with that roll, your toe beans are flying over the controls, and you see Zilzara and Elevar in the chair, and it's kind of bobbing back and forth a bit. And the room it's very much like TOS Star Trek kind of situation, where you're in the chair and it's just buffeting back and forth. Your eyes are closed. You can see the void streaking behind in your mind's eye past the ship as it kind of deftly moves towards its destination. And after about a good hour of this journey, and Gray twisting the dials, following your instincts through the room, as you it's kind of like, think of it like the TARDIS, where you're literally running around the console, kind of hitting different dials and kind of clattering and just making sure the crystals are in. And some crystals spark and die out, and you're definitely because that was such a high roll. You're just picking them up and picking up the spares and recharging them, and in they go. And then the ship comes out of hyperspace, floating in the void above a gigantic sphere hanging in the void itself. You have arrived at Verconia Prime. This blue-green globe, this planet, with it, you can now see orbiting around it in your mind's eye, Zilzara, as you kind of take all of this in. It's like you're seeing the view from behind the ship, looking around. You see the planet down below to your right, and orbiting around this planet, as well as the ship, you see a collection of 6 moons, all kind of spinning on different kind of trajectories and orbits around Verconia. It is a massive, massive planet. One of the biggest you've seen on your travel so far. Beautiful green landscapes across the majority of the central continent as it kind of starts to, you see the planet turning, rotating through its day. Ice caps obviously on north and south, down towards the equator. You're seeing some kind of desert land, but mainly it's green. Give me a perception check, please, Zilzara.
Sure. 10.
You're trying to focus in on the actual landscape, and you see like the odd dot of a storm or a weather kind of front moving across the globe, but there's nothing that jumps out at you that's prominent. In Instinctively, though, the ship then starts to turn and tilt and prepare for entry into the atmosphere. And at this point, it's Elevar kind of guiding you, knowing where to go, as the spear seems to kind of aim itself at the kind of northeast coast of the very large central continent. There are other islands around, another continent smaller, but there's one giant continent that seems to take up the center part of the globe, with a lot of smaller islands around it. Like when I say small, they're countries and they are large landmasses, but there is essentially one giant landmass in the center. But the spear kind of aims towards the eastern coast of it and starts to move in and enter the atmosphere as you're gliding down towards it. And it's very much an automatic kind of thing here now. While you had helped with the jump, Alavar is very much guiding the ship as the ship kind of rockets and buffets through the atmosphere. You can see from your point of view outside in the void, you see the atmosphere buffeting against the hull plating and the usual heat shielding that kind of burns up on the outside of the sphere that surrounds the silver spear. As it breaks the atmosphere, there's like a, and it just you see the sky change from the void black into a purplish hue and then down into a very bright bluish color as you come down through the cloud cover and up onto the landscape. Gray, you feel the buffeting as the ship enters the atmosphere and goes down into the world. And now, from your point of view, Zilzara, looking out, you see this vast kind of green continent, broken up with mountainous regions and different areas. You fly over cities and towns, heading towards what seemingly is your destination on the eastern side of this continent. Again, give me another perception check, please. Seven. You're taking it all in, and the ship is moving at such a high speed that you can't make out a lot of detail. It's like there's a flash of green, there's a flash of black, brown, you see the mountainsides. You're coming through storm clouds at one point as well, where there's a crack of lightning outside, and it kind of gives you a start, and you kind of instinctively in your mind's eye close your eyes, so it kind of goes black for a second, and then you open them again, and you're soaring over a kind of ocean and in through the eastern side of the coast, aiming inland. There are massive forest areas zipping below the silver spear as it flies over the landscape. One thing you do notice are the large ice blue crystals that are piercing and reaching skyward as they punctuate the landscape. In this area, you start seeing them more in number and in growing in size as you get further and further inland. And there is the arcane crackles that seem to emanate in your mind's eye through the void and through space, and through the atmosphere that you're now flying. You're traveling for a good 20 minutes to a half an hour, and then the spear starts to slow, and you can feel the push in your mind from Elevar to slow the ship and bring it in for a landing. There is a huge forested area that he seems to be aiming the ship towards, and just as he comes up, crests over a large kind of copse of trees, you see a clearing big enough to maybe house the spear, and as it begins to descend in for a landing. And after about 5-10 minutes of that, the spear comes in, the landing struts come out, and it effortlessly lands in. Gray, you feel the console's hum kind of diminish, and the kaleidoscope energies kind of dim slightly. And Zilzara, you open your eyes as you kind of sit up from the helm, and Elevar on the far side sits up as well. The silver spear is now landed and touched down on Verconia Prime. So Elevar kind of stands up and he's like, "Well, we're here. I suppose I better go prepare and get myself ready. If you'll excuse me, I suggest you do the same. Gather any supplies and needs."
Can I ask, where exactly is here? Like, are we far from your ancestral home, or?
I've taken the precaution of landing us about half a day to a day's journey west of my home.
Okay.
I did not want to land directly in there for, like, while spelljammers are not uncommon, the sight of the spear coming in and landing and me disembarking might cause a bit of an uproar. I thought it might be best to land outside and make our way in.
It also means that not all the crew have to come with us. Some can stay here, keep the
yes.
Keep the engine hot or keep things ready in case we need to make a swift getaway. Just in case. I'm not saying that things are going to go terribly with your brother. And just one more thing. Obviously you mentioned that, this is, and I felt it, this is a heavily magical imbued place. It literally hits you when you enter the atmosphere. What, if any, kind of followings do your people have? Would they be similar to the gods and deities and religions and cults that we've encountered to date?
Well, for the most part, the most common, I wouldn't say it's a religion, but their worshipping is of the dragon lineage.
Right.
This is why my family are in power due to our connection. But there are gods and goddesses and demigods and other creatures that are worshipped here by different sects of the people. We have similar gods to what would be on other spheres. We would have our own homegrown superstitions and myths and legends that people worship, and it is a mixed bag as such, but we know the names of the gods from other spheres. We travel, so I am aware of numerous gods, and they are known here.
I'm just wondering how much of a foothold my old friend Loth might have on this sphere. On the sphere, even.
She is known. She is known to people. I have seen her worship, not for a long time, but there are a few.
I'm just trying to anticipate the trouble that we've had in the past.
I think we should just be ready to anticipate trouble from every angle, if I'm honest.
That's probably a good way to think.
Yes. I'm going to go prepare my supplies and my equipment. I will speak to Merrick and see if he wishes to join us. I would recommend you both do the same.
Will do.
Wayne,
yeah.
You know the way this place is very arcane?
Yeah.
Does it mean that magic users like us are like Superman on Earth, or like John Carter on Mars?
I was wondering if you're gonna spot that. You won't know until you go out and walk amongst.
Ooh, surprise!
So, did I blow it?
No. You didn't blow anything because you don't know what's going to happen. So, I mean, you could walk up and nothing could happen, or you could,
that's on Gray's mind. So I think he is. Here's this thing again. Curious to go see what the crack is.
Yeah.
Curious little kitty.
Okay, so do you just want to go get your gear ready? Do you just want to get you prepared?
Yeah. Gonna go. We need a tool-up montage.
Yeah. Like Mando type situation.
Yeah.
Nice.
Motherfucking montage.
So you're able to go gather your gear. You're given a supply of health poultices, so you can each take a minor health potion with you if you want. Add to your inventory from the stock. You have your weaponry. You have supplies for food. You have a general traveling pack with a bedroll and all that type of stuff.
Full spell slots.
Full spell slots, the works. You're ready to rock and set foot on a new spear. Sphere. Off the spear.
I keep doing that because
Yeah.
it's obviously the silver spear and we're traveling 2 spheres.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yep. So after the period of time, you kind of find yourselves back on the deck, and Merrick is there, and he seems to be ready for the road. He's got a traveling cloak on him, a backpack.
Oh.
He's got so he's like, well, I mean, I had such fun at our last outing. I didn't think I'd want to miss this one. Plus, I think you might need a healer, considering the way you two go on half the time.
Well, technically, I mean, that's kind of my department, but I do get stuck in. I have been known to get stuck in.
Indeed. And I'm one to stick you out of things, I suppose, when you get stuck in. And as the three of you are conversing, Elevar is kind of seen coming from down below. What are you saying there, Zildar?
All I was going to ask Merrick was, do you have the means to protect yourself just in case?
Oh,
You know?
I do. And he kind of wiggles his fingers, and you see he has a collection of shiny rings. And he goes, I have my accoutrements that allow me to be very difficult to hit.
Splendid. Okay, just so we
And if
don't
needs be,
have
and
to
if needs
worry
be,
about
he reaches behind and he pulls out like you see kind of hooked underneath his cape, and he has a little short bow.
Okay, nice one.
And a quiver of arrows.
Okay, so is it just the 4 of us heading off then? Is everybody else staying on the ship?
I've charged our head engineer to batten down the hatches, and she will keep an eye on the crew. And we are going to try and maybe they're going to try and do some foraging in the local woodlands. And I've provided them with a guide on being cautious. Elevar has quite quickly made us aware of any dangerous animals within the vicinity, which there aren't that many, apparently. So we should be fine.
Okay, so kitchen restock sounds good.
Yeah. Elevar comes up, and he has a long cloak on him, a heavy cloak that goes from right underneath his neck right down to his toes, and you can just see the glint of his boots just from underneath the bottom of the cloak. He has it pulled tight around him, and he's kind of preparing to pull the hood up. So
I picture him. He's like those people I meet at Loch Crew when we go there for the equinox. I was explaining to my son when we were on our way, I'm like, there's a certain group of people that come to these kind of things. God bless them. But full on druids.
Yeah.
So he's and a big stick, obviously.
Yeah. So he's like, I mean, you can both give me a perception check if you wish. I mean, your passive perception is
15.
Your passive perception is 15. So, Gray, you can't help but hear the clink of metal on metal underneath that cloak. There's definitely
Mine's
something.
only 12 though.
Yours is only 12. Like you do, if you listen carefully, Zil, you kind of do hear something. But Gray, you can your ear for notes and sound.
Yeah.
You can hear like the clicking, cling, cling of like as if there's a blade under there, or
Yeah.
definitely wearing some form of armor.
Right.
Okay.
And he's like, I'm wearing this to seem inconspicuous. And he kind of pulls the hood up, and it kind of goes down, kind of just over his eyes at a point, so you can see his eyes peeking out, but his visage is kind of covered for the most part. He's difficult to make out. If you would like to follow me, I can lead the way. We have about half a day to a day's travel ahead of us, depending on who or what we meet on the road. I would like to remain inconspicuous, if possible, for as long as possible. But yes. And he kind of gestures to the gangplank, which automatically just unfolds. Do you disembark?
Yes.
Okay. Elevar leading the way, you kind of disembark from the Silver Spear, and you're kind of you're given away from the crew, and you can see there's another small group of people, crew members, getting ready to head out and start foraging the local area to resupply the ship. and Alavar has given him guidance on what to touch, what mushrooms to eat, what mushrooms not to eat, so on and so forth. You disembark from the ship, and you're kind of walking through the thick forestry here for a good hour and a half to 2 hours. All you hear here in this area is the sound of animals, and it's not like unbelievably loud. It's a chittering of birds. There's no like an Elevar kind of is regaling you with kind of tales of the area. It's like this isn't really a dangerous place. There's no large lumbering creatures that are going to come rushing out of the underbrush at us. Very much small animals. The equivalent to a rabbit that we would have here. It's a small lupine-looking creature with long kind of bat-like ears and a stubby snout. But it's good eating in a push. But they're generally what populate this general area. Nothing to worry about too much. If we are deeper into the forestry area, yes, we will come across some creatures, dryads and such, who have abodes there, but we tend not to venture too far in. We're heading this way, and he kind of points off, and he seems to know where he's going. While it's been a good few years since he's been here, it's very much come back to him quick enough that he's leading the way through the forest, and there's very few times where he has to go, no, not this way. And like, while that does happen maybe once or twice over the hour or so it takes you to get out of the far side of this forestry, and you're coming out on the far side of the tree line, and you see now there is a long winding kind of cobbled road that is leading off into the distance through kind of a hilly area, and you see Zildara. You can't help but see it as you step out into this place. It is these rolling grasslands of green and yellow grass, with these crystalline formations poking up through the earth, and then off in the distance those large snow-capped mountains. This is the place from your visions.
I'm gonna pull out Keanu. Whoa, deja vu.
I know, deja vu. Thanks, Wayne. Thanks for laughing at that. I appreciate it, squad.
I like it. I like a good Matrix joke as much as the next person. So Elevar kind of gestures for you to follow him, and he does start taking the path, the kind of the open road, heading towards kind of what seems to be your destination, a good day's journey ahead. It passes uneventful for the most part. You just have conversations here and there. Is there anything you want to talk about in this space while you travel? Is there anything you want to bring up? Anything you want to talk about to each other? With Elevar, with Merrick?
Not really. I'm kind of just trying to expand my awareness out to see if I can do cool shit. I want to see if I know Kung Fu on this place.
Okay. So, Gray, as you're kind of walking and you're trying to feel for the arcane energies in this space, you do see a lot of these large crystalline formations, and Elevar explains to you, like, the arcane energies on Verconia is steeped in the very ground, and it comes from these crystals for the most part. They are formations long past. As I've explained, my brother, when we do find the dragon that must consume his energies, this is what they become. Over time, the energies of everyone is returned to the earth here and becomes these arcane symbols. And he gestures over. There's a kind of a cluster of smaller crystals off the beaten track in a large kind of grassland field, and the wind is blowing through here. It is a gorgeous open area, and it's very much a Ghibli painting. It's got that blue sky, that perfect blue sky, with very few clouds here, and then this flowing grassland that's just blowing gently in the wind, and you can hear that whoosh noise as the wind blows through here, and it's beautiful. Like, if you weren't here for such a kind of cautious mission, this would be a perfect place just to chill the fuck out. But he gestures over to a small group of crystalline energy, like gathering. It's about 60 feet away from you off the road, and he kind of like, it's actually strange being here. I mean, I can feel my energies being rejuvenated, being back home, and it is all thanks to these crystals. By all means, investigate them. Look and see if you can imbue yourself with improved arcane abilities, improve on what you currently do, be it your magics or your spells as such. And he kind of gestures towards them and offers for you to go and take a look.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you do it first, and then I'll do it.
All right. I'm gonna do an L slink over.
So you kind of push yourself through the tall grass, and as you're doing it, then about 30 feet away from you, off to your left, the you just as you disturb the grass, a bunch of like kind of avian type creatures, birds, kind of as you disturb the grasslands, and they kind of flutter off into the sky, and you see these kind of like, they look like mini pterodactyls. They've got like leathery wings and long tails and a kind of a crested head, but they're tiny, and there's like a kind of a gathering of them as they fly off, or a flock of them as they fly off into the sky, and it kind of startles you a bit. But then you kind of make your way towards these crystalline formations, and you can sense that energy as you get closer to them. And give me either an investigation or a perception check there, please. Great.
Right. Ooh, that's a 21.
21. You're getting a lot closer to them now, and you look and you see that there's actually beautiful, intricate designs like naturally carved into these crystals, and they're not like language of any sort. They're just like squiggles as well. Think the kind of the main stone in Newgrange type thing.
Yeah.
Triple spiral.
The flagstone in Newgrange, that type of thing, like the triple spirals and all that type of stuff. But it's all sorts of different variations, and all of these crystals have their own type of variation in them. And like you're kind of gesturing towards them and looking at them, and you can feel that hum, that kind of buzz in the air, like static electricity, and your fur is very much standing a bit on end on your arms and the back of your head and your ears, as you're kind of looking at this. And it's fascinating, but you do feel bolstered, you feel energetic, and there's a lot of energy in you now, and you feel that if you were to cast spells, there might be some consequences or effects to them.
Kind of want to do something.
Do it.
No, I'm gonna wait and see if Zill comes over.
Yeah. No. Okay. I'm gonna go over. I'm surprised. I'm surprised you're not doing like parkour off the crystals or something.
Wow,
Parkour.
that is exactly what I want to do.
Parkour.
But I don't want to be disrespectful. But I think I probably will when I've got my mates with me. You know, when I got my mates with me, I'll get my boulder. You know, get my mate over here. In case the man shouts at me, I'm gonna make sure my mate's here as well.
I was kind of
as the two of you are kind of getting closer to the crystal. You just see Merrick is back on the street, and he's still on the road. He's like, "Don't die."
Not planning on it.
That's worrying.
Yeah, he should really have more faith in us.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my hand out a little bit.
Are you gonna touch the crystal?
I'm gonna hover. So you know the way a contact lens sits on a layer of tears isn't actually on your eye? I'm gonna do that.
Wow, it only took like near enough to 2 hours for the optometry thing to come into it.
I know. I sit on a layer of tears because I'm a big, filthy, sad goth.
That's a good name. That's a good name for an album. Is that Layer of Tears?
Layer of Tears.
Tears.
We'll tell Helmet that one. The next one for Blood and Water. I'm kind of considering the spells that I know, because part of the kind of wants to be able to channel, like use, essentially touch a crystal and point and do a spell and see what happens, but also she doesn't necessarily want to tear a hole in the landscape, because she doesn't want to wreck this, nice vista, but doesn't want to potentially alert people to where they are.
Okay.
So she's walking up to the crystals. She's going to put her hand out and touch one, like full on.
You're gonna full on touch one. Okay. So you go to touch it, and just as like you feel that kind of like a static electricity build up, and then there's like as your hand gets closer to it, it's like you feel it in your palm, and you place your hand on it, and it's just this surge of energy up your arm, like not the kind of surge that like you feel like you've stuck your finger in a socket, but it's like it's a good thing. It's like a warmth that moves up your arm and you feel it. And what are you casting?
I something that's not too destructive. Maybe just a wee cantrip. I'm gonna try Sorcerer's Burst. So I'm gonna pick, maybe, is there like a regular boulder or something near us that I can direct it at?
You kind of look off, and there is, due to these crystalline outcroppings and things, there are a lot of rocks around that when they grew up from the earth, they kind of disrupted it. So there is, while there's severe grasslands here, you do see clumps of rock kind of off to the side, not too far from their copse of trees. So you could aim at one of those, yeah.
Okay, so this is so it's cast as at will, and I can pick. So normally it takes one D8 damage.
Yeah.
And I can pick what type of damage. So I'm going to pick lightning damage.
So roll for this. As soon as you feel it, the energy build up in your hand for the casting of the spell, and the lightning starts to crackle from your hand, it's much bigger than what you're used to. And instead of rolling, how many D8 did you say you were going to roll?
So hang on. Oh, because I think it's because of the level I'm at now. It's 2d8.
Yeah.
And I should actually, I was gonna say I should probably like make sure I can actually cast it. Sorry, because it does have a hit DC on it. So that means I have to roll, yeah.
Yeah, but I know it's like you're gonna cast it. So I mean, it's just. Like you cast the spell. I'm not saying you have to roll to hit or any of that, because it's an inanimate object. So you cast the spell, and you feel it build up, and you can sense that it's way more powerful than it was previously. So where you would usually roll 2d8, roll 4d8.
Yeah. Ooh.
Gray, are you still standing next to the crystal?
I am, and I haven't Sorcerer's Burst damage. That's so funny. I haven't got anything I can cast as a test that won't disrupt peacetime, you know.
Yeah. But did you have your hand hovering close to the crystal? So where Zill puts her hand, your hand isn't too far away. Right. And as Zill casts this energy, it seems to chain from her hand and just strike you slightly in your hand. So as Zill is casting this burst, and everyone's attention is drawn to where the explosion is.
Yeah.
I need you to roll, like, so you're like, whoa, as it explodes, and you hear Merrick and Elevar from the road, you're like, oh, and Elevar is like, yes, that tracks. Zill, I want you to give me a perception check for a second.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Not Zill, Gray.
Me, Grant.
Gray.
Yeah. It's a 19.
While everyone is focused on that, you can't help but notice that in the peripheral of your vision, there is a golden energy in the shape of a person all of a sudden standing next to you.
Oh, shit, son.
And you just hear them say, in a very gruff but slightly familiar voice, that is quite impressive. And then they're just gone. And you kind of stop yourself for a second. Similar to the way Zilzara looked in her peripheral and saw the spider vanish.
Yeah.
And you turn to look at that person who was standing there, and with a 19, straight away, you were like, was that Articus? Was he just standing beside you as a gold ghost person? As the shape of your old friend and the former owner of your shield?
Yeah.
It was like they were there, but in some kind of form that was not corporeal. And they just uttered, like, that's impressive. And then they were gone.
Oh, I can conjure Articus. Oh. Right. Zill no doubt notices the face I'm making and the response I've had to that.
So Zill, you're just turning. You still have your hand on the crystal, and you've just cast that spell, and you know that that's pretty powerful. And you're like, "Ooh,
yeah."
And you turn, and Gray is still standing there. Their hand is kind of still outstretched, but they're looking to their side and have a look on their face.
Okay. So what was that, Gray?
So Articus was here. Like spirit Articus, like golden conjured Articus. It was crazy.
Strange. But like that was a pretty minor spell that I cast right there, and it did double the amount of damage. I'm kind of, I'm not going to try anything else right now because some of my more destructive spells, I'm going to save that for when we need them. Elvar, can I ask, when I touched this crystal, I could feel the power kind of almost like it was being absorbed, or certainly felt it flow through my body. Is that a temporary thing on this world? Like if I wanted to take advantage of the extra power burst that I get, do I need to be standing beside a crystal, or can I charge myself essentially?
Elivar kind of has come over at this point after seeing the blast to check out, see who you are, and he kind of hears you ask the question. He's like, well, it's complicated. Sorry, wrong voice. It's complicated. It's over thousands and thousands of years, many people have tried to wield the energies of the crystals, but they can't be mined in any way. As soon as you break a piece off, it loses its energy charge. So yes, you have to be within the proximity of the crystals in order to do what you just did. There's never been a successful way of finding out how to transfer the power as such. It's just that this power is the power that's in everything. So when a child is born on this realm, they are imbued with the power of the land. It comes from their ancestry. It comes from living here. It comes from being here. While I was away, I was nowhere near as powerful as I am here. Essentially, he was level 8 when he was on the ship. He's level 15 now. So,
well, that would make sense because because science. Zale is thinking that water that is filtered through the land would have microscopic crystal properties in it. So presumably, like if you're even drinking the water on this planet and you've been on this sphere and you've been drinking that since you were a baby, that would presumably make you powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful.
He turns to Gray. He's like, did you feel anything? You didn't cost anything. You just stood there.
Yeah, I felt it though. It had an effect.
What effect did it have? I didn't see anything.
I did. I'm gonna not tell him anything else.
Okay. Okay. Well, might I suggest we continue on? We can investigate this more if you wish, if you're interested. There are many findings, and many scrolls and books and tomes from all sorts of scholars about the magics. I'm sure we could find some for you to read and pore over. But I would suggest we make travel. We've got about a fair chunk of time left till sundown, but I don't want to be traveling on these roads at night. And he kind of nods and gestures back to the road.
Okay. Gray, are you okay to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. You get back on the road and you're traveling once again. And again, like with that information now in your minds, and Gray, you're kind of like, what the hell was that? Like there was no real explanation and you didn't expand on it, so Elivar wasn't able to.
No, and I'm thinking about it. I'm just kind of working out what it might have, how we would end up there. Now, bless Gray, he's not going to get the answer, but he's certainly trying to think.
Yeah.
Good.
So you you make your way and you're traveling, and it's you don't see many people on the road. Like it looks like a well-worn road. There are worn kind of like cart tracks in these cobbles. It's worn down over the years, but you don't see a lot of people on the road. It's very much a quiet landscape here, and you're going through rolling hills and different grasslands and forestry areas, and that the path follows that, and it's an open path. It's a well-trodden path, but you've not seen anyone. You can hear animals moving into the woodland areas, but for the most part of your travel, for the best part of the day, while Elevar kind of expands on the history of the land, telling you that over the last 100 to 500 years there've been multiple wars of attrition, but now there was peace for a time, there was prosperity. The farmlands, it's a very rich and fertile area, but with the constant battles between the royal families have caused a lot of turmoil, and there was a rise there for kind of an anti-monarchy kind of group for a time, and that was gaining ground when he had to leave. And it's at that moment where he's telling you this, that you're cresting over the top of a hill as the road continues on, and you're looking down into this valley, and you see stretched out before you the first sign of any kind of dwellings. You see large tracts of farmland and farm buildings off in the distance, and you can make out people working in the fields. I need you all to give me a perception check. I'm going to roll a perception check for Merrick and for Elevar. Okay.
16.
Ooh.
The both of you together at the same time, and Elevar as well, actually, but Merrick doesn't spot it. And Merrick is like, a quaint farmland. Maybe we could stop and get some food of such local produce, even. And Elevar is like, yes, maybe. And you all spot it kind of all together. You see the people working in the fields, but then just on the outskirts, kind of patrolling areas of the fields where they're working, and also patrolling roughly around the farmland and the farm buildings, you see armed guards. Very much of the city guard variety. They've got armor. They're all holding spears and shields. Some of them without shields. They all have spears, helmed, and they all seem to be kind of patrolling in between the workers that are in the farmland area and in the fields. And it's mainly, it looks like it's like they're harvesting kind of like different fruit crops, different kind of wheat crops, all these different types of things, the variations that would be in this particular landscape. And as you're looking down with that perception roll, it doesn't look like anyone's noticed you, but Elevar, you look and turn to Elevar, and he has a puzzled look on his face. He's like, this is a known farmland, and they produce a lot of produce and food and crops for the whole surrounding area, but I don't know what the gods are here for. And that's a lot of workers in the field for this time of year. He kind of turns, he's, might I suggest we proceed with caution here? This is different for me. And he kind of gestures maybe over into the grasslands that lead down into this area for you to maybe approach stealthily at this point.
Are they harvesting ganj?
Poppies.
Become a ganj-based economy.
Oh, wow. That is not where I expected that to go, but there you go. Yeah.
Tarsus is mad stoned out of it.
My John Manfred is more like grasses. What?
So does that mean we have to fucking stealth roll our way past?
You can give it a whirl.
Yeah, that'll be my first instinct.
Here's the thing, right? There's a few things to remember here. One, Gray, you no longer have to roll disadvantage due to the modifications you made on your shield in the last session, so you don't have to roll stealth with disadvantage anymore.
Hooray!
Okay.
Yay!
Two, the tall grass, if you're hunkered down low enough, will give you advantage on your stealth rolls. So you're going. Yeah. Elevar is gesturing into the tall grass that's leading down onto the hillside. which will allow you to approach this area in stealth with advantage.
Okay.
So.
Very good.
Okay, so he kind of
Do it.
gestures into and he kind of, you see him kind of, he pulls his hood up and he hunkers down. You just see the top part of his hood just peering out at the top of the grass, and then he just gestures and then starts to move down. So everyone give me a stealth roll with advantage, please. I'm going to roll for the two lads.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm doing this on 2 physical dice. Oh, for fuck's sake, right? 19 plus 7. That's 26.
Okay.
26.
I gotta be.
You gotta be.
It's been a while.
Merrick did not roll well.
Oh no.
Oh no. On stealth, he's got a -1 and he rolled a 6. Oh fuck.
Oh Jesus.
Oh no.
Now
it's
I
with
will say
advantage
this.
though.
So
Is that
was
the
with it.
better of the 2 rolls?
I rolled a 3 and I rolled a 6, and he has a -1.
Oh
to
Jesus.
stealth. So here's the thing, though. It's a group check, thankfully.
Yay.
And Zale, you got a natural 20. Elevar got a natural 20.
Oh, nice.
2 nat 20s. And Gray, what did you get again?
22.
22. So they're all really good rolls.
I rolled a 19 and I have
a 19 plus your modifier.
26.
26.
Nice.
And Elevar rolled a natural 20, and his modifier on stealth is 0. So
yeah, my modifier is 1, so I got 21.
Yeah. So okay. You all kind of hunker down, and Merrick kind of has a hard time. He kind of tries to get down, and he realizes that short bow is tucked in behind his cloak, and he kind of catches it, and it goes off at a weird angle. And he's like, "Oh, bollocks!" And he kind of pulls the cloak a bit, and then refixes it himself, and he's left sitting there on his arse with his legs out in the tall grass. And he's like, and then he tucks the bow up over his shoulder, and then kind of pulls himself up and gets on his hunkers and starts going into the grass. So you kind of come down the hillside, approaching it, kind of around the back. Elevar brings you around the back of the furthest left-hand corner of the work fields that you see, and everyone kind of huddles in close, and he kind of peeks up over. I'm gonna roll perception for him, because he's having investigation, because he's looking. Investigation is really good, actually. Jeez, he rolled a 14. He's got a +9 to investigation.
Nice.
So he just sticks his head up slightly, and he moves quietly, and he looks, and then comes back down to the 3 of you. They are gods from my father's castle. They are royal gods, godding a farm. This does not make any sense. I have a bad feeling about this, because if we are guarding the crops and guarding the workers, and he kind of looks up again, and with that, I'm just going to keep the same roll, and he puts his head back down. Those workers are in rags. And if you want to look, he's kind of can peek up, and he kind of gestures and points over. And with his help, you see that the workers are indeed in rags. They're in soiled clothes, like burlap, like really bad clothing. They're not well dressed. They're not well kitted out. They look downtrodden, filthy, gaunt. And the guards are just
like workers and more like slaves. I'm afraid to say, Oliver.
I agree. I can't. This cannot stand. We need answers for this. This is not the realm I left. My father would never do this.
I'm gonna take your lead. Do you agree, Gray? I don't necessarily want to barge my way in. How do you want to approach this? Do you want to keep stealthily making our way? Do you want to question these guards?
If everything looks off, I would rather get more visual answers before engaging with anybody. We just might get ourselves in big trouble before we found anything out.
Yeah.
If these people are being oppressed by these guys, why would they help us? Also, we kind of want to keep
Elevar secret.
Yeah, we want to keep Elevar secret as long as possible. That's going to cause uproar. How long is it since you left Elvar?
Oh, about I'd say about 120 of your years.
Oh.
Okay.
We astral elves live a long time, and he kind of gestures to Zilzara. I take it you would have similar lineage, being of
Okay.
elven descent.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think stealth, Zil. I think that. If that's okay.
So you don't want to? We shouldn't question anyone here. We should keep moving.
I think so.
Okay. Well, I would suggest then we completely stay off the road and don't move through the township and stay on the outskirts and move around. It will add some extra time to our journey, but it will give us cover. Move through the forested area to the west of the town.
Okay.
Let's do that.
All right.
Okay, and staying low again. He moves, and you move kind of off, heading towards that forested area on the edge of town. I need everyone to give me another stealth roll because you are now closer to the farm area.
Stealth.
But again, it's with advantage because of the grass.
Oh hell! Oh hell yeah!
Oh.
I'm taking a picture of this and putting it in the chat.
Oh, wow, that's unreal. I rolled for Elevar. I rolled a 4.
20.
Nice. For Elevar, I rolled a 4 and a 3 together. Like so, 4 and 3, and then but he's got no modifier on his stealth. But then for Merrick, I rolled double 17s. So pretty
Wayne,
good.
you did not. Look at what's coming into the chat from me.
Ha! Double 18.
Double
Nice.
18s.
Nice.
Wow. That is a statistic sum to be done.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh yeah, I'll send. But yeah, I love rolls like that. That's great.
Yeah,
The worst one I've ever
25
had.
for me.
Yeah, the worst one I've ever had was double 1s, which was nasty.
Ooh.
Nasty stuff. But anyway, yeah, with a group check like that, I kind of Elevar kind of hangs back a bit and kind of looking troubled and allowing you all to push forward a bit more. And Merrick is like, he's kind of like, he's Elliot Denholm at the end of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. He's like, follow me, I know the way. And he kind of heads off in through the underbrush and kind of leads you towards where the forested area is. And then Elevar eventually kind of picks up the rear. And you can hear, like, then as you're moving away, you just hear a guard's like, won't pick up your pace. You just hear kind of like a thud as just like the sound of the bottom part of a spear cracking at the back of one of them.
Oh God.
You travel for. It's starting to get dark now as you move in through the forested area, and in under the cover of the trees, there's no sunlight, so it is starting to get dark at this point. But you push on. Everyone, I think, has elven lineage or is at least a cat, so they have dark vision, so they can view in the night. So it doesn't really hinder them with the darkness. But there is now starting to become an element of having to rest. And as Merrick suggests, he was like, I think we should definitely set up some kind of campfire. Maybe not too conspicuous, hooded in some way. We definitely need to rest for the evening. And we're far off the well-worn road to not draw attention. Elevar, there's no dangerous creatures in this area. And I was like, no, we're close to a township, so they've hunted and killed any dangerous creatures that would have eventually inhabited, or would at one point inhabited these woods, eventually killing them all out. So we've nothing to fear with that. I suggest we get an early night's sleep and be rested for the following day. So is there anything you want to do in this moment?
No, I'm writing a song.
Oh.
In my head.
In your head. Just
but I'm always writing a song in my head.
Plucking the lute.
Mm.
Nice.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to make noise, but I'm going to.
Cool.
I'm barding.
Cool. Zil, is there anything you want to do?
No, not at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. She's just considering things.
Okay. One by one, you all eventually bed down tonight for the night, or meditate, or do whatever. And sleep and meditation finds you all eventually. You do get rested. No untowards kind of visions that you're aware of. But Gray, just as you're dropping off, and as your eyelids start to heavily close, you swear you can see Articus standing on the edge of the campsite, just leaning against the tree, chewing on the end of a piece of grass, just standing there, glowing gold in the darkness. And then you just drift off.
Wow.
You wake groggily the next day, Gray, and Zale, eventually you come out of any meditation
Moggily.
you're having. Moggily. And you're kind of moving, kind of trying to reach, like after sleeping with a tree root in your back, and you're like, oh, and you go to sit up, and you're met with the point of an arrow right against your nose.
No.
And you're looking up the shaft of this arrow, and you see this green-clad individual, hood up, and then you look around, and there's about 6 or 7 of them all standing around you, arrows drawn, knocked, swords drawn, some of them with spears. These are all dressed in green.
Faramir?
There are no travelers in these lands. And they're all dressed in kind of like woodland garb.
Right.
And you see Elevar kind of goes to sit up, and there's 2 arrows knocked in his face. He's still wearing his cloak, but his hood is down. He used the cloak kind of as a blanket for the night. And he kind of looks at the arrows, and he kind of frowns a bit because he can see the intricate details on them and stuff like that. As you see them close to your face, same with the blades. They're like scimitars. They're curved, but they're beautifully designed. And you look up into these elven faces, similar to Elevar's in kind of shape and size, and you just kind of see this shorter female elf step forward, it's female form step forward, and she pulls back the hood, and it's kind of like long curly white ringlets droop down from an elven head, her pointed ears and high cheekbones, tight face with small lips, beautiful big brown eyes stare out, and you can't help but notice the family resemblance to Elevar as she steps forward and says, "Good morning, brother." And that's where we're going to end this month's episode.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Thank you for checking us out. I have been your DM Wayne. They've been your players Kim and Jill. Ladies, thank you so much. It was a great session, really enjoyable. Hope you had fun. Ton of lore. Have the lore drop.
Loads.
Absolutely.
Loads of bleeding lore. Lashings of lore.
Lashings and lashings of lore. Digest that stuff. But yes, folks, thank you.
Fell beasts.
We will be back for very soon for the next episode. And I will say this, we are very lucky that we will start back with a giveaway in the next episode. I didn't have it for this episode, but I have been gifted by a friend of the show, Gary Maloney, with some stuff for a giveaway for the next episode. And that's me saying this so I don't forget it to do it on the next episode. But no, I don't have it at hand here now, but we will have a giveaway prize for the next episode, thanks to Gary. So yes, folks, this has been Sorcery Shenanigans. Thank you for checking us out. Look after yourselves. Until next time, stay safe.
Bye.